this is going to have a good turnout today. That's great. Hi, Vicky.
Hi.
Well, what we can do is we'll go through and we'll have everybody introduce themselves. Wow, you guys are a hot ticket.
Hey, I only book hot tickets there, Peter.
Absolutely, this is awesome.
That can be both a compliment and concerning. Sometimes you don't want to be the hot ticket.
Well,
just kidding.
You're an important ticket. Hey, Chris.
Hi, Jen. Amanda. Well, good to see you here.
Hey. I haven't seen you on Zoom in a while. I feel like it's been months, years.
I know.
This actually was actually a happy way to end this week.
Oh, nice. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Hi, Jen.
Hey, Sarine, how are you?
Good. I see you in promos. Can we say your hair looks good long? Is that okay?
So Keith's joining us now. Maybe we can go around because I think there are people who don't know each other. There's new faces, both for, for the people who, for our guests from Hawaiian Electric and also for people who have never met them before. So, okay. All right. I guess I could start it off. And Noelle, we haven't met, and Amanda, we may have met at some events, but I'm Peter Sternlight. I'm with Sustainable Energy Hawaii, one of the board members, and energy is something that occupies a lot of my waking time. Sometimes I dream about it too. So everybody knows Noelle. Let me see. Jen, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Really happy to be here. I used to be able to come to more of the Friday Hana meetings, and I'm sorry that I seem to have missed the last few months, but I'm Jen Zelko with Hawaiian Electric.
And Amanda.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Amanda Lee with Hawaiian Electric. I'm a commercial client manager here on Hawaii Island. I've been with the company about 18 years here, all on Hawaii Island, and I help key large commercial business and industry on the island with just a variety of energy needs. Thank you.
And Noelle?
Yes, thank you so much. Also very happy to be here. Hi, everyone. I'm Noelle Kakimoto. I'm the Equity, Access, and Affordability Manager at Hawaiian Electric. I started around a year and a half ago, and my focus is on assisting low to moderate income customers. And I am currently located on Oahu, but I assist with all islands. So thank you for having me.
Thank you thanks for joining us. So, Jerry, why don't we, if we could, just kind of go around. We'll start with Jerry and then go Russ, and just briefly introduce ourselves, and then I guess hand it off to Russ. Since this is happening because of you, you can launch the dialogue.
Oh,
so
this is Jerry Chang. I'm a former state representative and now a member of the board of Sustainable Energy Hawaii.
I'm Vicki Newman. I'm a resource efficiency manager with the 9th Mission Support Command Army Reserve in Honolulu. I'm on the board of AEE Hawaii chapter with Russ and Mitch, and just started to join this group and just interested in what everybody's doing. I've been in energy for like 20 years.
Thanks, Diana.
Hello, everybody. I'm a sustainability consultant with a background in architecture, and not really long ago relocated from Europe to Hawaii. I'm specialized in sustainability, strategy development, green building certification, research, and everything that is related to sustainability. Thanks.
Thanks. Gary?
Hi, I'm Gary Rosenberg. I'm a regenerative farmer in Curtistown on the Big Island.
Chris?
Hi, I'm Chris. I spend as much time as I can on the Big Island, and I work in utility scale solar.
I think everybody knows Noel. You want to go ahead just in case?
Yeah, I think I know everyone.
Good.
Good to be here, and I'm glad we get this opportunity. It's not that often that we get the privilege of having not just one but three representatives from an organization. So thanks very much for taking the time to be here. Looking forward to learning about Shift and Save and how we might be able to contribute to getting the word out and also helping our community adapt to the change.
Can you hear me now? Over.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I'll start over. Mitch Ewan with the Hawaii Natural Energy Institute, where I'm the Hydrogen Systems Program Manager. My major project over my left shoulder, which is the first public bus in Hawaii, but it's based out of Nelha, and it's a hydrogen bus. And so I'm a big electrical customer of yours because I use up so much electricity to make my hydrogen. So I'm really interested in lower rates.
Okay, so Serene.
Aloha, everyone. I'm Serene Farrar. I'm a Hawaii State Energy Office Clean Energy Wayfinder for Hawaii Island, and I'm a community listener, especially for low to moderate income people. And also, I try to be interstitial to all the good programs and grants that are coming out right now for energy efficiency and renewable energies. Thank you.
Thanks, Serene. So Russ.
Hi, aloha everyone. My name is Russ Kohler. I am the president of the Association of Energy Engineers Hawaii chapter. Amanda is our vice president for the Big Island of Hawaii. And I wanted to thank her very much for, reaching out to the ECO staff and putting this on for us today.
Thanks, Russ. So my understanding is that that there was a question about the rolling blackouts and also the time of use testing that's going to be coming up. So Jen or Amanda or Noel, pick and choose, and you're on.
Thank you so much, Peter. I just take a quick moment and thank you all, for inviting us today. Thanks, Russ, for reaching out. I've been really fortunate to know him and was really delighted when he asked us to join you all today. We're really grateful for this opportunity to connect and share some of the updates. And with that, Jen is our Director of Government and Community Affairs, and I will share that she's an incredible resource and force to work with, as well as Noel. So I'll ask Jen now to go ahead and jump in, but just, big mahalo, Russ and Noel and all of you for having us here today.
Well, before we proceed, oh, never mind. I see we're recording. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes,
Okay.
I see it.
So I actually am not going to speak too long because thanks, Amanda, for getting us here. I really appreciated when Amanda sent Noel and I the request for today. I think Sustainable Energy Hawaii, and I think I've said it before, is just an incredible group. And I think so important to have a neutral organization like this that kind of looks at everything. I mean, hydrogen, geothermal, just across the board. So I guess big mahalo to that. And I know today is really about time of use, but I think the elephant in the room is the rolling outages that occurred last week, and then some calls for conservation that the utility had to do. So we wanted to address it. I think all of us wanted to address it with this group. But first, the good news. Hawaii Island, we did just put it out in a press release. We were at 52% renewable energy as of last year, which is great. That was up from 47.9 the year before. And I think some of the numbers you're looking at here when you see the renewable mix actually might be a little higher in some areas, including geothermal, for last year. But this is really pretty incredible. I mean, we're very lucky because, as you can see on this map, we've got generation distributed across the island. And I think for some of you that might be aware of other places or other islands, that's not always the case. There's always a concern that one area takes the energy burden really with a lot of projects. So I just want to say that I think that's something that we should be really I think excited about, and it's important for resilience. So if we did get a big storm that, let's say, impacted the Puna area, but not so much Waikoloa or the west side, that helps to keep that generation on and going. I think there also had been a question about some of the upcoming renewable energy projects and some of the newer ones. So just sharing that, I'm sure you all see that beautiful AES facility in Waikoloa, and they've been on since last year. They have been incredibly helpful to us over the last year. The battery we have certainly used during our peak hours. And so you also see Hale Kuawehi Solar, that's the Interjects project that's coming up. If you drive along Waikiki Ranch area, you see it down on the right there. And then, of course, we've got these other projects coming up. Some of it is the shared solar. We also have the LMI CBRE program. So those are programs that are focused on our LMI customers. And then stage 3, we did select and announce. These are our stage 3 renewable energy projects, and you can see those listed there, which is really exciting. But just to quickly address, I'll go back to what happened over the last couple of weeks. We do not like when we cannot give customers, notification, like immediate notification that there's a problem, but sometimes units trip offline. And the thing with demand and supply, our energy, it has to meet. It has to be exactly equal. Whatever your load is and your generation is, has to completely be the same. And so it's a balancing act that actually our system operations team, I call them like magicians, but they do a very good job. And they do a very good job given the amount of renewable energy we actually have on the system, and specifically a lot of the distributed solar systems, which we do not have any control over. And so what happened over the last couple of weeks, we did have units trip offline. Some were actually out of service. You just like you got to service your car, we had to service those units. And then as you probably noticed, it hasn't rained much in Hilo, so our hydro facilities, all 3 of them have been not producing as much energy as we might be used to here on this island. Last week when we had the rolling outage, there was actually 0 wind from either the north or southern part of the island. And then unfortunately for us, the Waikoloa area had a lot of cloudy days. And so what would happen is it didn't just impact our ability during the day, but the battery, which is only charged by their system. It's not charged by the grid. So whatever the PV is producing, that's what's going into the battery. And so for a lot of those cloudy days, we didn't have enough of the battery in the evenings. And so on January 29th, customers did experience an under frequency load shed. This is something that you wouldn't have any notification of because basically a unit trips offline. You lose a bunch of your generation. And in order to keep the system on and safe so that you don't have an island-wide blackout, the system is actually designed to shed load, to shed a certain amount of load to match what you have for generation. That happened again on January 30th. And that day we actually did have to institute rolling outages, and that was during the day. I believe that was the morning, during the morning. And those outages, which normally would last about 30 minutes, so no area should be impacted much longer than 30 minutes. I think that day actually did impact some areas up to 50 minutes. And then again, the day before Valentine's Day, on February 13th, we had a under frequency load shed. And we then thought, okay, the system, we had enough generation to make peak, but 3 units tripped offline almost at the same time. And that then required us to institute some rolling outages that night. There are a lot of actions being taken. I think one thing, our maintenance guys, who I also think are magicians, I mean, they are dealing with, facilities that have been around for a very long time. And so they are continuously repairing them, looking at how to make some longer term repairs. But I think the bigger thing, and what I just wanted to mention here, the public notifications. I think the community, and I agree with the community, as much as possible, we've got to notify folks ahead of time so they can plan accordingly. So when we can, we will make sure the county civil defense, and they have agreed to do this. If we ask for a conservation request, they're willing to actually push it out on their Everbridge system, which you probably get notifications on there if you sign up for different things, different weather events. They have agreed to help us do that. I think looking at different CERT teams and just a lot of other organizations, sustainable energy Hawaii as well, to push out information to the folks that follow you. Of course, our social media, but we're just looking at how we can get the word out when we do ask for conservation. There are times, again, where there's an under frequency load shed and it's an instantaneous where the system actually does it. But the reason I showed the good news first, and I'll just end with this, is because as we see these new projects come online, and I think the hope is that we're able to get these online very quickly, that's going to be a good thing, not, for generation for sure, but for customers, and these are renewable resources. And so with batteries, which I think will help us quite a bit. But I just really wanted to say I appreciate it. If there's anything, I guess, advice or suggestions that you guys have for us, I'll put my email in the chat. Please email me. I think just apologies that this has impacted the community, and I think the hope is that we won't see many of these days in the future. But just thank you with that. I will turn it over to Noelle. And Noelle, did you want to share the screen, or you want me to stop?
Sure, whatever's easiest for you. I could share if you want to keep.
Okay,
that's fine.
I'll stop.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Let me get to mine then. One moment. Okay. Is that okay? Can everyone see this? Great. Okay, so I'll just start from where Jen left off. And if at any point you can't see, please let me know and I'd be happy to adjust. But thank you again so much for having us. I'm really excited to present on the Shift and Save pilot program. We've been trying to get the word out to customers on the pilot and let them know what exactly the program is and how they can best adjust their energy usage and behaviors to benefit from the program. We held 2 in-person, I'm so sorry, I should have started again by sharing my name again. I'm Noelle, thank you again for having me. And as the Equity, Access, and Affordability Manager for Hawaiian Electric, I work a lot, like I mentioned before, with the low to moderate income customer population. And so last month we held 2 in-person workshops with customers in Hilo at the Arc of Hilo, which was a wonderful, wonderful session we had. We reached out to around 200 customers we determined were considered low to moderate income, or LMI, based on their enrollment in LIHEAP and who have requested previously payment arrangement information. We wanted to engage with these customers in person in sort of a more intimate setting to explain the intricacies and details of the program. and how, while we did have wonderful conversations with the folks who attended, the attendance was a little bit sparse. We had around 16 people who attended both sessions out of those 200 we invited. So we would love, I would love especially at any point, if you have any feedback on how best to get this word out. I believe we did send emails to folks and letters in the mail to invite them. But I would love some, if, like I mentioned, if you have any feedback, you can email me. I can also leave my email in the chat on how best to engage with these customers in the future. We really do want to make sure they're empowered with these new initiatives and they know how best to engage with us. But I just wanted to start with that before I move on. So in today's presentation, I will share the different parts of the Shift and Save pilot program and some resources to help you all understand each aspect of the pilot and ensure that you all are also fully equipped with the best information you need to share with your own communities. After the presentation, we'll have time for Q&A if you have any questions for me or any of my lovely coworkers, and I'd be happy to answer anything you want to know about, but I please do ask if you can kindly hold those questions until after. So in this presentation, I will cover the following agenda items: a basic overview of what the Shift and Save pilot program is, how the time of use rates work within the program, a brief overview of my energy use portal that customers can use, and some tips to shift and save usage. Okay, so these are the basics of the Shift and Save pilot program. It is a one-year pilot program that began on February 1st of this year. It was developed in collaboration by Hawaiian Electric, the state consumer advocate, and other stakeholders who engaged with it. And it was reviewed and authorized for implementation by the Public Utilities Commission. This pilot will allow the PUC to study some overall energy use habit changes, and it also will help determine how they move forward with the rest of customers. There are about 16,000 residential customers, both on Oahu and Hawaii Island, who have been randomly selected to participate in this pilot program, which may sound like a lot, but that's only around 4% of our customers. Maui participation has been suspended from the pilot, but eligible customers do have the option to opt in if they're interested. Like I mentioned, participants were randomly selected. They had to have had advanced meters for at least 6 months to be selected for the program. And a mix of those elected locations have EV and PV accounts as well. Customers will have a bill protection cap of $10 for the first 6 months of the pilot, which I will further explain in some slides. Rates for all other customers who are not in the pilot remain unchanged. I'm so sorry, did I freeze there? I'll just go ahead. Sorry about that. Rates for all other customers not in the pilot will remain unchanged, and anyone who is not currently enlisted in the pilot program may also participate, but they will not be part of the pilot study itself. So these are the rates for the Shift and Save pilot program, or what we call time of use rates for Oahu and Hawaii Island. The daytime period from 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. has the lowest rates to encourage customers to take advantage of the abundant solar power generated on the electric grid. These daytime rates are approximately half of what folks are currently paying per kilowatt hour. If we look at the overnight period, it's a 12-hour time block from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. That's a time period where people can look at what their energy usage is like and make decisions on where they can conserve or shift that energy. Overnight period is twice the amount of the daytime rate, but the rate in the overnight time block is similar to what you're currently paying per kilowatt hour. The evening peak in the middle is a 4-hour time block from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's the time where energy demand is at its highest, and unfortunately when renewable energy decreases as the sun goes down. And shifting more energy usage from the evening peak to the daytime means that we can reduce the use of fossil fuel generators at night. The time of use rates enable customers to save money if they are able to shift their usage. They also may be able to save depending, again, on their ability to. And a friendly reminder that these rates are in effect 7 days a week. So even if customers are unable to shift their usage during the weekdays, they can still do so on the weekends. For the first 6 months of the pilot program, guardrails will protect customers from an unexpected surge in their bills. So for residential customers, there's a 6-month cap that will keep their bill from going up any more than $10 a month compared to what they would have been charged on their regular Schedule R bill for that same month. This bill protection provides 6 months to experiment with their energy usage, learn what they can adjust throughout the day, and see what habits, if any, do work for their lifestyles. So the pilot program will collect data and customer feedback on these energy habits, if there are any changes on them, and it will be crucial for the PUC to determine how and whether this program will ultimately go into effect for customers in the future. And if folks decide that Shift and Save is not the right program for them, again, they may decline participation at any time. The Shift and Save pilot program, like I mentioned, began on February 1st of this month, and customers can expect their first bill with the new rates next month in March. And like I mentioned already, the first 6 months of bills from March 2024 to August 2024 will be under the bill protection of the $10 cap. So it does, again, allow folks to build new habits without experiencing too detrimental financial impacts. Some elements on the new Shift and Save bill will look differently from the current Schedule R residential bills. The energy charge will be split into each rate period, which is, again, the daytime, evening peak, and overnight time periods. The customer charge is an existing item on the bill. This is a fixed monthly amount to recover only customer-specific metering and billing costs. So the customer charge on the Shift and Save bill will be $6.94, which is lower than what folks are currently being charged on the Schedule R bill. And the grid access charge is a new item that will be seen only for folks on the Shift and Save pilot program for residential customers. It was approved by the PUC, and it's a fixed monthly amount of $9.38, which is to recover customer-related service connection costs, service drops, and immediate connection to the distribution system. So again, I know I've mentioned the $10 bill protection cap a few times, but I really want to remind you folks that customers will never pay more than $10 more than their regular Schedule R bill during those first 6 months of the pilot. And it's really important to reinforce this idea of the $10 bill protection cap because it does provide a little bit of freedom and flexibility for customers to experiment during those 6 months. So for example, if the Shift and Save bill that they receive is $130, and the regular Schedule R bill would be $100, that bill protection cap would protect them, and it would mean they would only pay $110 instead of that $130. Again, no more than $10 more than that initial Schedule R bill. And if there's more questions about this or how this works, I'd be happy to answer it at the end. So there will be 2 different ways to read the usage on the new bill. First, there is this stacked bar chart above with each color representing the different time periods and where folks can compare their each month's usage over a 12-month period. And the second usage section below will show customers how much electricity was used during each rate period in kilowatt hours. So just to highlight, the purpose of this program is to encourage customers to reduce their use of electricity fueled by the expensive non-renewable sources like oil. Reducing or shifting consumption is better for our environment, and all of the customers on this pilot, including some of us who are in this meeting, can all work together to make some environmentally friendly changes. We've made lifestyle adaptations in the past, like bringing reusable bags to the grocery store instead of using plastic bags, or using reusable water bottles at work. And one way to establish control over our usage is by looking at a tool called My Energy Use Portal. I won't go into the very specific details of the portal. It's very user-friendly, but I just wanted to kind of explain the highlights, which are ways to access it on our website. And what it is. So it's an online tool that allows customers to view their home's energy use by month, day, hour, and even as frequently as 15-minute increments. To access My Energy Use Portal, customers can go to our website at hawaiianelectric.com/myaccount. On the left, there's a box where customers can register for online access if they've never been to this website before. And if they are registered, they can go to the box on the right where they can access their account by using their user ID or email and password to hit login. And the My Energy Use portal includes various tools like Compare My Rates, which allows users to view their current Schedule R bill compared to the time of use rates bill and see which is more suitable to their lifestyle. There's also the What If tool, which tests different hypothetical scenarios, such as what if I decreased my energy use in the peak evening hours and increased it to the other parts of the day, and it'll show customers what that would do to their bill as well. So this portal is very, like I mentioned, user-friendly. It's really helpful, and it allows all participants in the pilot to take advantage of these different options to view the impacts to their bills that the program will have. It also will allow them to understand their usage more and potentially discover ways to shift their energy use and potentially save money. So now that I briefly discussed My Energy Use portal to manage energy usage, we can see what energy savings tips folks may be able to adopt. So our households do have various heavy appliances that we all use, like the stove, oven, clothes washer, and dryer. And all of these are consuming of large energy usage, especially when they're in use throughout the daytime or the evening peak, which we have mentioned. These heavy appliances do provide an opportunity to save money by running them during the cheaper rates, like the daytime or the overnight hours, whenever possible, of course, and understanding how different routines can affect customers and their bills. For example, the stovetop range and oven are appliances that we use when preparing meals and heating leftovers, of course. So if there's an opportunity for folks to switch the use of the appliances to a different time period, it could lead to significant savings. For instance, if you use your oven for 2 hours a day and switch your use from the evening peak to the daytime, you could save nearly $9 a month on your bill. You could also use an Instant Pot or an air fryer to cook your meals instead of always relying on the oven or the stove. Another great option to save time and energy and the amount of electricity used is by switching to the microwave to reheat leftovers if you usually use your stovetop to do so. In larger families, it can also be easy to reach large loads when you're washing clothes or using the clothes dryer. Making the shift to do your laundry outside of the evening peak when folks are usually coming home from work would be a great way to start saving. And like I mentioned before, the rates do apply 7 days a week. So even if folks are not able to shift their usage during the weekdays, they can always try on the weekend. I also wanted to point out, of course, how many kilowatt hours it takes for a clothes dryer to run. That expense can start to add up really quickly if you don't take advantage of these different rate periods. When folks do use their dryers, it would be helpful to inspect the dryer vent for obstructions, as blocked vents can increase drying time and the amount of energy being used. And if possible, it's also a great idea to hang dry clothes if that's allowed or if that's able to be done in your area, or utilize a portable clothes drying rack to avoid the high consumption and costs of the clothes dryer, like we can see in this chart. Of course, we understand that everyone's energy needs are very different and variable depending on households, routines, and how many people are living in that household. So shifting the energy behaviors for the greatest cost savings is a great way to utilize those first 6 months of the bill protection in the pilot. There are also, of course, other things that customers can do during any time period to help save energy, like replacing the lighting in homes with Energy Star LEDs, which have a longer lifespan, lasting around 2.5 times longer than CFLs. Using fans instead of ACs is also a great way to try and save energy. 2 fans running for 4 hours a day rather than an AC can save nearly $300 a year. Shortening every shower by only 2 minutes could save up to $140 a year. And aiming to shower just before 5 p.m. or after 9 p.m. during that evening peak to take advantage of the cheaper daytime and overnight hours can definitely save money with those rates. Customers can also try to install low flow fixtures to help save money by reducing hot water use, and also selecting shower heads with flow rates of less than 2.5 gallons per minute for maximum water energy efficiency. Using a power strip to eliminate energy sneakers or phantom loads also conveniently turns off devices not in use. And using a power strip to turn off the computer can even save up to $15 a year. Hawaiian Electric is really lucky to have a great partnership with Hawaii Energy. We have a lot of collaborative efforts to educate and empower customers on best energy efficiency tips and how they can make wise energy decisions for their households. We have many resources available. One of them is the Power to Save booklet, which has a home energy quiz and nearly 100 energy saving tips. And Hawaii Energy also has, of course, many rebates that we all can take advantage of. And we can find that information on their rebates at their website, hawaiienergy.com/rebates. If anyone is interested, I'm sure everyone is familiar, but I'd be happy to share that link too. I know that was a lot of information just kind of sprung right at you. So thank you again so much for your time and attention to this program. I really hope you're excited about it, or at least willing to listen more and just engage with it. So there's different ways that folks can engage with our company if they have questions. We have a dedicated toll-free line, an email address for questions, and a website with more information. There's even a long FAQ portion too. But I know, again, that was a lot of information. So I'm here for any questions if you have, or if you'd like me to share any kind of information with you folks by email.
I think there were a few questions in the chat.
Sure. I'm going to stop sharing and then maybe I can be able to look at the chat a little easier.
I think, Noel, one of the first questions was, is there any ongoing direct dialogue between Hawaiian Electric and participants during the program?
Direct dialogue. There has been webinars that the company has put on for all the customers, the residential customers that I am aware of. There was a webinar last month at the beginning of the month and one at the end of the month where all customers enrolled in the pilot were invited to hear more from our community affairs team on Oahu. They gave a very long, in-depth overview of the pilot as well. I'm not exactly certain if there's any other kind of direct engagement with the customers besides that, but I'd be happy to check on that for you folks.
Yeah, that was a question actually that I had. Just wondering, I'm imagining being a participant in the program and coming across things as I'm altering my behavior.
Yeah.
That I would imagine it would be helpful to provide direct input or feedback and even engage in some dialogue for those who are, who are feeling ambitious enough to, to try to help shape the program. So that's where that was coming from.
That's a great question. I'd be happy to check on that for you if that's something that would be best to follow up on.
Sure.
I have many notes if I can just go. Is that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So first off, I really like the program. I think you guys have nailed it in terms of keeping it simple and just providing mostly carrot and only a $10 a month stick. I think that's great. I know the stick goes away after 6 months, but people have changed their behavior. I think everybody wins when you match the real cost of electricity to the time that people consume it. I mean, that seems like a no-brainer. So I get it. The ultimate grid is a bidirectional smart grid, but I think that this as an initial step and I'm sure you folks are looking at that, but I think this as initial step is fantastic. So I just have some notes.
Sure.
The first one is I kind of heard apologies about the frequency drop, about load shedding. Totally understandable. I mean, the baseload generation on the Big Island anyway is pretty old. And I suspect because of El Nino that there's a large correlation between the hydroelectric production dropping, the solar drop, being cloudy, and the wind being, all those things are usually uncorrelated, but maybe this is a weird year. Totally makes sense. It's the growing pains, right? There's a large consumption increase on the Big Island. People are moving in. People are buying EVs. People don't have that feedback mechanism of the shift and save, right? So they don't know. And so the grid gets soaked up. So I understand you have to apologize to customers and the grid, is supposed to always be perfect, but as you switch to a renewable energy grid, it isn't as easy as just having a giant coal plant or something. That's easy. But the good news is as you add more solar, if you add wind, and especially storage, those problems start to go away. And that combined with a smart grid and, like I said, bidirectional eventually, they pretty much disappear. So you're on the right path. It's going to work. It's going to take like 5-10 years. But the first investment, I think, is batteries, putting batteries on the grid. So that's I just wanted to add that feedback. On your slide about ways you can save, I would also add a line item for EVs, right? EV charging, and which I suspect most EV charge, people with EVs are already going to be a little bit nerdy in wanting to use time of use anyway. So that's probably a lesser one. Air conditioning. People really do not understand how much power it is to turn on that AC unit when they come home. So maybe even a comparison between like a 5K BTU window AC unit and the whole house unit. So they can get an idea of like, well, I'll run the 5K unit from 5 to 9 and then I'll turn on the, or whatever.
Yeah.
When it's cooler. There was a note about electric hot water heaters. BG&E had a remote disconnect switch that they used in Baltimore to do load shedding. Almost nobody notices because you got that 80-gallon hot water tank for the electric ones, of course. Turn it off for an hour, nobody even notices. And of course, it's a massive reduction in load when you do 3 kilowatts across 1 million houses or whatever. So I got that. And then I was just curious if Hawaiian Electric has a energy modeling team that works in-house to sort of strategize all this. Is that
they do, in fact,
okay?
if you maybe not as because you seem to really know that the background technical, so I don't know if you go on there, but our integrated grid planning, there's a landing page for that kind of looks at over the next 5 years, I think 10 years, as EVs are coming on, it kind of looks at all these different scenarios, how much energy efficiency people actually change their behavior, what that will do to the load. Because just going back to your other question, if it's interesting, we peak at maybe 180 megawatts between that 6 and 9 p.m. period. And that has not changed. Like over many years, that's it's been between 170 and 180. And so I guess the good news is people aren't using a lot more energy. But I really appreciate you, and I wish you could come and talk at all of our community meetings about growing pains, because I think that's the truth. What I don't want is I don't want the community to say, you guys should never have done this renewable thing. There's too many renewables. That's your problem. Because the truth is, were we praying for wind last Tuesday night? Yes, actually, like we were. But it's not the winds. That's not really, it's just, we've got to get these other projects online. And I think, someday we will not be in this as we talk about more energy storage and stuff. So I just wanted to make that comment. Integrated grid planning does have a page where you can go in and you can actually put in if 30% more energy efficiency, if 30% more DER, they've got, and you can change the percentages. It's pretty neat, actually.
Yeah, I think you're going to be very surprised at how your customers react to dynamic pricing. I mean, I'll call it dynamic pricing. They're buckets, but it's a step. I think you're going to be surprised. And then the last thing I'll say, and I'll step aside, as those EVs are coming online, vehicle to grid is a great way to do your bidirectional smart grid. So having some way to pay customers to pull that energy out of the car battery when you need it, those are massive batteries just sitting there waiting to be used. And then they can recharge overnight at 2 a.m., whatever. But vehicle to grid's a big one.
Thank you so much. Such great ideas. We could just chat all day. Thank you for all of that.
Absolutely. If you want me to come chat with anyone, I'm happy to.
Thank you so much. I'm going to definitely note that.
Cyrene, you had your hand up.
Yeah, and thank you, Noel, for this. This is an excellent presentation. Like, this is something the Wayfinders, I hope to send on to them because they haven't been informed to this level of detail. So our Kona side Big Island Wayfinder enrolled in Shift and Save pilot for 6 months. Her and her two retired, actually no, her parents were retired, but then they went and got jobs at Home Depot or whatever. And they gamified it to see how much money they could save, being like really invested in this as a clean energy wife finder, supporting the daughter. And they ended up paying like $2 more a month. They even shifted dinner to before 5. So I'm wondering if Carly can't do it. Like that's why I'm watching like who is going to save, because with the highest energy rates in the nation, people are very incentivized to be conservative in their energy use. I think Hawaii has the like lowest kilowatt per capita in the nation already. So I think these tips are great. I'm hoping something comes out of left field that'll help people save money even more. But I'm curious because Carly tried so hard and they ended up unsubscribing to it, and just with a few dollars a month more paid into it.
Totally. Thank you so much for sharing that. Just I'm not sure if this is like knowledge that was shared with you. Do you know if this person was if they've been using my energy use portal at all to kind of?
Oh yeah. So she was. So you know how I'm a clean energy wayfinder with
Yes.
HF. She was the Kona side, and now she works in New York City as a solar manager.
Wow.
So she was using all her tools because she thought that she could ace this with her energy degree that she had.
Totally. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. I understand totally that this is not going to benefit everybody. I think it's really awesome that this person was really interested in just trying it out. I think that's a huge part of this for the pilot program itself, is if folks are interested in just trying it and seeing what their usage can be like, what habits, like you mentioned, they can change, if any, and how it does affect their household. I think that's just great data for us and the PUC to have moving forward. So again, I understand that it didn't benefit them. And I think that might be how it is for some people too. It's just not going to be the right program for them. So I'm not exactly sure what could have been done differently based on this information we have, but I do think it's awesome that they were just willing to try in the first place.
Yeah, it was exciting to follow along. We were every month for her. And then so I'm assuming that there were other people enrolled voluntarily prior to that. And is there any like publicly available information on people who successfully saved money that way?
I don't necessarily know yet. I know at least for this pilot, it just started early this month, so I'm not sure when that data would be available. I'd be happy to check on when it would be available for you though, or if any
yeah,
could definitely check on that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question and comment.
Gary, I think Gary was next, then Noel and Russ, you're in there too.
Hey, you guys, I just want to say thank you for all the work you're doing. I know it's very difficult. We're trying to educate people, and we're working with Mountain View Elementary. And I'd love to speak with you at a later point to see if there's a way we can organize. The administration at Mountain View Elementary they're very receptive to working with the community, and I think involving the keiki and creating a roadshow, which we're already talking about here amongst this group, to educate kids and to make them be the ambassadors would be a really effective way of leveraging the manpower that you guys have. And I'd be more than happy to speak with you about this offline to see if we could begin that project at Mountain View Elementary and perhaps expand it and really let the children be the advocates for this transition, because we're going to have to educate them ultimately. We might as well start with them and get them to guilt trip their parents into incremental changes towards a greater energy awareness.
Gary, I absolutely love that you actually are talking to the right people. So education is actually part of our area. So if I could maybe get your contact info, or I put my email in the chat, but I think that's a great idea. Because going back to the other question, we did have an employee here on Hawaii Island who had joined the Shift and Save program. She kind of, I think, did it like that gaming where she wanted to save, and she kind of got her whole family to change their behaviors. I mean, it was pretty extreme. And I don't know that everybody could do that, but she did it, and she was the best advocate. And so we actually had asked her if she would go on our social media platform and talk about it. But kids, if we can get kids to change their families' behaviors, I think
I think
that's
I think
yeah,
it's very possible. This group, we're already working on designing a roadshow. I
that's
think we
awesome.
could all work on this together. Jennifer, just take my phone number and give me a call
Okay.
on Monday, would you?
I think
Yeah,
Noel
I
was
just want to,
next.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll just make it quick. I know we're running out of time. I just want to, well, again, applaud the team for the work that's being done, with the shift in general, but also efforts to empower the community with awareness and education. I mean, clearly the education piece is really important here, right? I mean, you mentioned earlier that you had these, community events, and only 16 of 200 show up,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it shows that there is a challenge there in terms of being able to get the word out, and is being really creative about doing that, especially given the fact that that what we're talking about right now with the cap is a pilot, right? And at some point, it becomes everybody's experience. So we want to make sure that prior to that, people are aware and able to make, be aware of what the changes mean to them, and also begin to make those behavior shifts. So glad we talked about schools and, getting the word out through students, posters, fridge magnets, going to appliance stores and empowering them with information so people know, buy smart appliances that can be timed to run at a certain point in time, heat pumps, dryers, and all these different things that are out there that can help with, reduction in energy consumption, I think. So it's really an education challenge, right? Or maybe opportunity. So anything we can do to contribute to that, we'll certainly do. But I just, again, want to applaud the team's efforts.
Thank you so much.
Mitch, you're on.
I'm
Oh,
on.
no, I'm sorry. Russ is on.
Russ, yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay, a question I have is, are any commercial customers part of the pilot? Any hotels, for instance?
Amanda, would you like to take that question? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much for asking that, Russ. Yeah, so for commercial, there are the schedule G and J only for the pilot, which is our G is a small commercial non-demand rate, and the J is the mid-size, small to mid-size next rate. So the larger schedule P size, which the large meters for the hotels, for example, and other large commercial aren't in this pilot. But there's a series of G and J that are.
Okay, and then my next point is a comment that really for Jennifer. During your presentation, you were talking about why the outages on Big Island, right? And of course, we've had plenty of outages here on Oahu as well. But what I heard you say is that the equipment is old. And I've been hearing that for years, that the firm power generators that HECO owns are extremely old. When I say that, I'm talking more than 40 years old. Without maintenance, these types of failures and trips are going to always happen. If you're going to be going and talking to the community, this is just a friendly bit of advice from me, because I've been dealing with this kind of stuff for over 40 years with large power plants. Be careful, because someone else is going to catch that, and they're going to say, how much money is HECO putting into replacement budgets for power plant equipment? That's going to come up. It's not just me that's going to catch that.
No, actually, Russ, thank you. I appreciate that. And I am going to note that, especially when we are going out to the public, I should correct when I say they're older, it isn't that they're not being maintained. They're actually maintained regularly. I mean, there's folks working on it. I do think, though, that there is a state policy that mandates us to go to 100% renewable. So replacing plants, I think has not been the focus. But as far as maintenance, I mean, we've got guys that kind of work around the clock doing that. But these are older machines, and it's actually hard to get parts for them at times. And so that's why I call them magicians. But Thank you, because it's important. I do want that kind of feedback because I don't want folks to think, oh, see, Hawaiian Electric, they're just not doing maintenance because they don't care. We absolutely actually take that very serious. It was difficult over the last few years when we lost PGV for a couple of years. Scheduled maintenance we would normally do on these plants, we were having to run them, the firm generation, longer periods of time. And I am certain, just like a car or anything else, you run it more than it's used to being run, I think you know, you're going to have issues. But as far as our maintenance, they do that, Russ. But I appreciate you know, you letting me know that, because I want to make sure I made that clear too.
Okay, one more point is that obviously your power plants are firm power. And you just said that, yes, the state is trying to go to 100% renewable by 2045,
Yes.
which is an extremely difficult task for the state. Why doesn't HECO put some money into a budget to explore geothermal? There are plenty of other areas on the Big Island to explore for geothermal. There are areas on Oahu to explore for geothermal. There are areas on Maui as well. And I'm very familiar with the project that you guys have going right now with Amoresco. But, you know.
Yeah. Actually, geothermal is our best friend. We are regulated and customers pay for, you know, this kind of work. So we're very supportive of it. The other part is any idea of us doing or being part of generation, we have to bid in just like everybody else. So we can't say, okay, we're going to do geothermal. All of that has to go into a bidding process. And part of that is, as you folks know, and I think Sustainable Energy Hawaii, the cost of geothermal exploration is very high. And that's why I think we're very lucky to have PGV here. But part of that is there is a competitive bidding process. And so it isn't like the company could do that, have ratepayers pay for it, but may not end up being the one that actually wins that bid.
Understood. The final output of the geothermal goes to the benefit of everybody, including HECO, right?
Absolutely.
My last point is to Serene. Serene, if you want to find out how the TOU rates have helped or not helped, you could contact Southern California Edison or Pacific Gas and Electric. They've had TOU rates for years. So they would have plenty of information. If you need a contact at Southern California Edison, I can give you that.
Well,
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. I get to talk.
Yes.
Okay.
It's your turn.
My idea is to set up an energy Olympic Games with all the kids, all the schools, all the kiddos, and they get prizes. And you could have regions competing against regions. Americans love to compete. Let's face it, we drive racing cars, we play football, that kind of stuff. So if you set up a program, particularly in the schools, I mean, you saw how the robotics was developed here in Hawaii. So now we have like Olympic robotics teams, and they go off to the mainland and they win all these prizes. Setting up that kind of a thing, I don't think it would cost much money to do it. It's just like a PR kind of a deal. And like it could be quarterly or 6 monthly, but not just once a year, but like, so it's totally in front of them all the time. And that's how you get the kiddos to go home and start banging on their parents to look at some of these energy savings things and changing their attitudes. So just throw it out there. I'm sure you got smart people in your marketing department can figure out how to put a program like that together. But lots of positive reinforcement of people who are doing good and what their secrets are and how they did it.
Mitch, love that idea. It does remind me of the solar boat races of yesteryear when the schools used to go against each other, who built the best solar boat. And they would get prizes for it, but it again showed people how these things could run, you know, by the sun. So love that idea.
Thank you.
Well, I think we're just about at time. Does anybody have any other input, questions, thoughts?
Yeah, hi, aloha. I just wanted to ask because I think it was also not clear for me whether this program now is only targeting residential customers or others on the island as well. Like, do you have any number, like what is the percentage of residential consumers versus other types of large consumers of electricity, and whether really these measures done by residential customers are going to do a huge impact in energy efficiency and use reduction, or maybe you have other large consumers where you can do energy efficiency measures with a way larger impact and like addressing what they can do to save energy. That's one of my questions. And coming back to residential customers, I just wanted to drop in some more ideas like addressing passive measures that they can do on the building scale, like smart use of shading and closing doors, windows when it's peak heat outside, or like cross ventilation at nighttime, etc. So if you are interested in putting together a package of such measures, I'm also happy to help.
Thank you so much, Diana. That's a great idea. I'd love to email more with you after this if you'd like to take my email address. I love any feedback that you have because I think those are really helpful. So that'd be great if you can contact me.
Yeah, sure. No worries. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Vicky.
Hi, this is Vicki Newman, and I listened to your presentation and about the things that people can do to shift their electric use. I have all LED lightings. I air dry all my clothes. I don't do laundry when it's raining. I have solar hot water, passive solar hot water. I have PV on my house. I don't have air conditioning. I have windows. I have a timer that turns off my electric water heater to boost it from my thing to the point where if it rains, I have to go out there and turn it on. I only run my dishwasher rarely and only when it's sunny out. And I've got window tint on my windows. I close the windows. I open them at night when it's cool. I close them in the morning. And I'm not sure what else I can do. Yes, I have computers in my house. Yes, I have a pool with a variable speed pool pump, but I still have an electric bill. And I live on the Big Island. I don't have an EV because that's just going to raise my electric bill and the batteries are going to burn out because I don't drive very far. I mean, we use the car once or twice a week. That's it. So other than that, I work in Honolulu, and it drives me nuts that my roommate uses the dryer and doesn't clean the filter, and I air dry all my clothes. So I'm sure this program's going to cost me more money, and I don't know what else I can do.
Do you know, Vicky, if you have an AMI meter or an automatic meter?
I have a smart meter. I don't know.
I'm not sure. Is that, Jen, I'm so sorry. Would that be considered the same?
Because I have a NEM.
Yeah.
She does.
So do you know if you've had that for at least 6 months? Because I believe you should have access to my energy use portal as well. And that would show you potentially some, like, depending on the time of day where your energy use might be highest, within those time increments, or when throughout the week it might be highest. That might be something you could try and look at, if that might give you more information.
That might. And I also meant to say that my husband cooks with an Instapot. He cooks with a small oven. We don't ever use the big oven unless we have a big dinner party. We have a gas pizza oven. We, propane. It's none of that is in there. So yeah, there might be some time of use stuff I can do there, but if I cook dinner in the oven during the day, it's cold at dinner time. If I, some of this gets to be specious at that
Sure.
point.
Of course. Yeah, I know, and I totally understand that it's not something that will benefit everybody. And I really hear you that you've done everything you basically can, it sounds like, to lower your bill as much as possible. So I really applaud you for all of that. I think maybe a good option would just be to look at my energy use portal if you can. If you have a meter for that long, that might help at least get an
Years.
idea of, yeah, so that might at least help you get an idea of when your usage is at its peak, what you could be doing within those time
But
frames.
we run a business out of the house, so there's a problem. We have a server farm, so it's my base load is just going to be high.
Huge.
So you're also looking at residential rate, and we have a lot of side hustle and people now that we're not commuting to the office, that all of that business power use has been shifted to the homeowner under a residential rate, who's now going to be like, oh, try to shift that to your workplace. Oh, too bad I'm sitting in my workplace and on my dining room table right now. And my husband works remotely too. I mean, I only work remote 2 days a week, and then I increase my carbon footprint crazily by flying to Honolulu every week because they make me. But I think there's going to be a backlash for those who are working from home. I think that's going to be a problem.
Thank you.
And there might be just some way to address that, to look at maybe a small understanding or credit or something there. So
You have batteries on your PV, Vicky?
not yet, because I didn't have the $50,000 to upgrade my system.
Well, that would certainly help you, because your evening load is going to be the most expensive. If you work out of your house, you're working during the day where the electricity is the cheapest.
But the computers go 24/7.
You have a server.
Yep. So I need a battery. Yeah, I just need $50,000. And you guys hiring?
How many kilowatts is your PV system?
It's 12 years old, so that's part of its problem.
How many kW?
I don't remember offhand. It's 23 panels of 230 watts panels.
It's not going to cost 50 grand for a battery for that.
No. I can't add a battery to that because that's a NEM. I have to put another PV system on, put a battery, upgrade my electrical service. I've already have quotes, and it's $50,000.
So we've run over. Really, again, appreciate everybody for their contributions and participation in this conversation. Obviously, there's a big learning, opportunity here for our community, for society as a whole. At the end of the day, we need to figure out how to become independent of fossil imports, and there are many different efforts to make that happen. And in the manner, and as we go through that journey, there will need to be some sacrifices, some behavior changes, et cetera. And I think as a community, if we roll up our sleeves and try to find a way to make this happen, it will happen. So there's no denying that we need to figure out how to move away from fossil, how to get away from that dependence of fossil energy imports. And this is just, a few steps in that direction. So again, I respect everybody for having stayed, over 20 minutes, especially our speakers. Jen, I know Noelle already left. So Amanda, Jen, thank you so much for your patience and for being here with us. And we look forward to engaging with you and getting the word out.
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you very much. Before everybody goes, though, I would recommend saving the chat because there's a lot of good stuff in there that you can access at a later time. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Have a good weekend.